Alrighty, so this is what lunch is looking like for today. I have a myriad of things. I have some onion rings, a vegan chicken tender, vegan Korean barbecue wings, and Brussels sprouts. I also have green juice, organic green juice, yes. And I also cannot forget my water. Yes, sir. Alright, so it's a little bit later in the day, and I just had some vegan chicken tenders. So it's not real chicken because it's plant-based. And I'm just drinking some more green juice. And today's topic for wellness, part 12, is, drum roll, perfectionism. And this whole thing about fear of failure, not wanting to make mistakes, or wanting to do extremely well beyond, what is whatever. So, beyond human capability, I guess, sometimes. So this whole thing about perfectionism, it's the desire to want to be perfect at everything, basically. Want to do everything well, no mistakes, no mess-ups. And I can see how a person will want to excel as much as possible in one particular area. But there's going to still even be usually there's certain failures through the journey. So, and I'll give an example of a failure. So, if Steph Curry is practicing his threes, right? If he's at practice and he misses a few of the threes, those are technically considered failures. But overall, he's not a failure. He's still a really good player. He still is pretty good at shooting threes, right? So he does not have to be extremely perfect at his craft to still be a great player. None of these, no person, no basketball player, even me in my career field, someone over in the hair industry or the teaching industry, or it can even be whatever the case may be. And I know, but there are some career fields where you have to be extremely careful when you're working with certain documentation and stuff, avoiding mistakes as much as possible, and all of that. But there may be certain things where, you may not have to be as meticulous in. You may not have to give as much attention to detail in. So that's important to know. Even in school, I know a lot of people want to finish school in those 4 years, right? Which is, I think it's a great goal to try to achieve. That's a typical, length of time that these school programs have for bachelor's degrees, right? Now, I finished mine in 3.5 years because I had taken some summer classes and school was just very important to me and stuff like that. So I would say I made it a priority, one of the priorities in my life, and I was able to make it one of the priorities in my life, right? So that's just how that panned out for me. I powered through maybe even difficult times throughout school to make it through. There was even one time where I kind of was I think a lot of college students, probably not at least 90% of college students in the thick of it, getting closer and closer to graduation, should I continue or should I just, leave school? But you stick through there, you finish, especially when you're close to finishing, most people, So I'm not going to say it was always easy. I did get really great grades, but I'm not going to say it was always easy. But I can also empathize and understand if there's also people who don't finish in the 4 years or early like I did. It's okay. Things happen. Life happens. Whether it's grief, if someone passes away that's close to you, it's understandable that you would take that time to pause and, withdraw from school for a semester or, work through those feelings, or you may continue with school through grief, if going through counseling or having a mentor or having a support group of people, community, a congregation of church family there for you and stuff like that. Excuse me. So Um, yeah, everybody's willingness to adapt and having the resources to be able to adapt is not the same. And so, whether a person finishes their bachelor's degree in 3 years, 4 years, 7, 9, 10, 20, as long as they finished it, that's still an achievement. That's still a goal. And that's one thing that I really don't want to take away from anyone. Just because I finished early, don't mean I look down upon someone who didn't. Like, I love to see people achieve their goals, regardless of how long it takes. Now, I will say this. It is good for us as human beings, as much as humanly possible, to try and adjust and be flexible to things. If we have a goal to finish something by a certain time, or if it would help us in our lives to finish something by a certain time, to do the best we can to do it by then. But also understanding that if we can't, we can't. Accept it as just a part of life. So the point I'm trying to make is there may be situations where a person may be complacent, but we don't want to be complacent. We still want to put in effort and do what we can to work through emotions and feelings and thoughts and to do well in goals. But yeah, if you need time off from something, take time off. But my ultimate point for this video, though, is you don't got to be perfect. So yes, if you need that time off, take the time off. If you need to step away, step away. Your life, your health is important. So yes. You do matter. Your feelings do matter. Your feelings matter. Your health matters. And all of that. So in regards to perfectionism, sometimes it could be even wanting to be the best. It could be having the competition mode, I guess, against others. But as much as possible, it's good to avoid comparing oneself to others, and more so good to compare oneself to oneself. Like, oh, 5 years ago, I was like this, but now 5 years have passed, I'm much better at this. For example, I may say, oh, well, 5 years ago, I was, let's see, well, a person could say, I'll just give a random example. 5 years ago, I wasn't good with time and being on time or whatever. But now 5 years have passed. Now I'm really good at being on time, Like, it's just certain things. You can look at your own progress. And that's why sometimes I think it's good for journaling. Like, it's good to journal. I know sometimes journaling may not always be like the first go-to or something that people want to have, because you got to make sure you protect the journal, whether it's a digital journal online or in your notes, or even if it's a book, like still having to protect it, make sure, it's sacred. But also, it's still good sometimes to have a journal to look back and be like, oh, I'm reading through it. This is how I felt such and such time ago, and I feel much better at this point in time, and I got through that tough time. Look at my progress. That kind of helps with taking away from that perfectionistic mindset, because it's like, oh, we're in this life to improve. We're works in progress. Each of us, we're a work in progress. So when we look back then to see how far we've come now to this point, it's like, psh, wow. So I encourage you, give yourself grace, have self-compassion, be easy on yourself as much as possible. Not complacent to the point where you're not working on yourself, but allow yourself to rest, relax, and to not be perfect. Allow yourself to be a work in progress. To always realize not only your weaknesses, but also your strengths. Know that you're more than just your flaws. You also have things to bring to the table. It's okay to mess up sometimes. Get back up, you try again. Have a blessed one. Peace.